Hey, good morning and welcome to episode number 4 on our Reckless Love series, where today we're going to take a look at the verse, "No shadow he won't light up coming after you." Let's get started.
Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
So when we were up at our middle school, junior high camp, we used the song "Reckless Love" as our week theme song because we thought it exemplified what Jesus was willing to do in order to have relationships with us. We basically had this whole series based around encounters with Jesus. And so we used reckless love, but it was during that week that, if you just break down the verses, you find so much beautiful things that we can actually discuss. And so that's why we brought these all to you today. And so when we look at "No shadow he won't light up," I know you know the stories in Scripture where God is the light, He's the way, and He's the one who is going to basically prepare a path, a way of life for us that is so much better than we can ever imagine. But I know for a lot of us, there have been people who have been in very dark situations. And finding other stories of people bringing others out of dark situations has actually been really easy. And so I wanted to bring one to you more specifically because this lady was an amazing example during one of the darkest times in our history, which was during the Holocaust. And so this young Polish girl whose name was Irena Sendler. See, Irena Sendler was a kind of social worker, kind of worked with the Germans, but she was Polish. And so she worked in Warsaw. And if you know anything about that, they had one of the largest ghettos in the world during this time. And what she ended up doing was not standing on the sidelines, but wanting to be a absolute glorious light in a very dark era. And so what she ended up doing was convincing parents inside the Warsaw ghetto to hand over their kids to her. She started out with orphans. Orphans were easy because their parents had either already died or had been shipped off to concentration camps, and they were able to just take them out. She found families, Christian families, Catholic families, that were willing to adopt these children. And so every single time she rescued a kid from the Holocaust, she went ahead and put their name, their Jewish name and their Christian name, inside of a jar and buried it underneath a tree. And so it wasn't just there. She just didn't stop there. She got a whole group of people, convinced them to do the exact same thing. And so even though Irena Sendler was caught by the Germans and went to prison, went to torture, did all of these things, she still had other people that she had convinced to do the exact same thing with. In total, that jar had over 2,000 names in it. That means over 2,000 times Irena and her conspirators went inside the ghetto and retrieved children, asked parents to let go of their children, and they had to smuggle them out. She had this dog that she trained that literally would bark on command anytime the baby was making noises. They would stuff them in dirty diapers or anything that no one would ever want to search through. See, they used bad for good. They knew that nobody would want to go through these things, and so they used that to get people out of the situation that she was in. See, nobody knew about her story, which was so unique, until a group of students in Kansas, of all places, did an entire research project and found her story and brought it to light. What used to be 8 Google searches or 8 points on Google is now over 2,000 websites have talked about this girl's story. And so I wonder what Jesus is smiling about now that she is up in heaven. See, this young woman had such conviction, had such an idea that she could make a difference. She could go into a place and bring light to it by giving hope for it, because most of the parents of these children didn't make it through the Holocaust. But these children literally are alive as a result of this one woman's courageous act to bring light into a dark world. So I wanted to encourage you guys with this story today. But I also want to encourage you in your own way. Because it may not be this dark, dark Holocaust, but we are simply in a time with this pandemic where there are a lot of people who are suffering. And God's given you an ability, God's given me an ability to bring light in our own unique way. So what is it God's challenging you with? What is it he's pushing you towards? And what is he trying to draw out with you with this reckless love that's within you? I love you guys, and I hope you have a great day.
No shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb.